Alright, lesson 5-4 is called point-slope form, and it's just another form that we're going to use to write equations when we have different things given to us. So objective here is to write and graph linear equations using point-slope form. So this is what point-slope form is. You use this if you know a point and the slope. That's like the best situation to use point-slope form. So here's what the actual formula is. Make sure you write that down. It's y minus y1 equals m, and then in parentheses, x minus x1. So m is still the slope, just like before. This x and y that I'm underlining here in pink, those are the x and y that show up in every single equation so that you can plug in ordered pairs. But these extra y's, this y1 and this x1, that's going to be any point that's on the line. And I'll show you how those work. But it's really important that you know that the formula goes y minus y1. Because when you see something like this, if you see y minus 3 equals 4 parentheses x minus 2. That means that this line is going to go through the ordered pair 2, 3. Because here's your x1 value, 2, and here's your y1 value, 3. The negatives always go with the formula, but if you see something like this, y minus 3 equals 4, x plus 2, if you have a plus, that means what you really had was minus a negative. So this would go through the ordered pair -2, and then this would still be a positive 3. So the negative goes with the formula. So if you happen to see a plus, that means that value is negative. Okay, and I'll show you more like what that means when we get into some examples. Okay, so problem 1 is writing an equation in point-slope form. Okay, so we need a line passes through the point -3, 6 and has a slope of -5. What is the equation of the line in point-slope form? So I think the more you write down point-slope form, the easier it is for you to memorize. So we're going to write down y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay, now we start filling things in. Y is always there because that's just always in the formula. Minus y1. Now you need to look at your y value. That's 6. So we're going to have y minus 6 equals, m is our slope, that's -5. Then we have parentheses. We have x. Now x1 is our x value, but our x value is -3. So what we could write is minus -3, but instead of writing minus -3, minus a negative is just plus, so we're just going to write plus 3. And that would be our equation in point-slope form. And I know it looks a little bit weird, but that's what point-slope form is. Okay, and then the second one here, a line passes through the point 8, -4 and has a slope of 2/3. What is the equation in point-slope form? So y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay, so we're going to do y minus our y value. Now our y value is negative, so minus a negative is going to change into y plus 4 equals, the slope is m, that's 2/3, x minus our x value, which is 8. So x minus 8, and that would be our equation. Okay, problem 2, graphing using point-slope form. So what is the graph of the equation y minus 1 equals 2/3 x minus 2? So from this, if you know that the formula is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1, instead of like when we have slope-intercept, we would start at the y-intercept. Instead of starting at the y-intercept, we're going to start at a specific point. So the ordered pair we're going to start at, our x value right here is 2, and our y value right here is 1. So we're going to start at the ordered pair 2, 1. And then we're going to do the same thing with the slope that we've always done. Our slope tells us how we move. So our slope is 2/3. So we're going to go up 2, over 3, put a dot there. Now, you can also go the other way. If I would try and go up 2, over 3, I would be off the graph. But you can work your way backwards. You can go down 2 and then over this way 3. Just if you want an extra point, and then you would graph that line. Okay, so this is maybe a situation where your y-intercept might not be a whole number. See how this it doesn't go through the y-axis at a nice whole number. It goes through at some decimal. So in those situations, sometimes it's easier to use point slope form so that you don't have to start at a decimal and then try and do rise over run from a decimal. Okay, let's do another one of those. So what is the graph of this equation? So y minus 2 equals negative 4 over 5, and then in parentheses x plus 4. So here's our formula. Y minus y1 equals negative 4 over 5, x minus x1. So the ordered pair here are x value. Now because this is a plus 4, that means our x value is negative 4, because it would have been minus a negative, which is what changes it to a plus. And then our y value, because it's y minus 2, our y value must be 2. So we're going to start at the ordered pair, negative 4, 2. And then we're going to use our slope, which is negative 4 over 5, and we're going to make the line. So we're going to come down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that one more time if we can. Down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then you draw your line straight through. So that one kind of looks like the y-intercept might be negative 1, but you don't know exactly because I'm not using a ruler, and it might be slightly off, but that's how you would graph point slope form. Okay, now if we have a graph, we need to write the equation. So it's going to look like this: y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. Hopefully you're starting to memorize this formula. So we need to figure out an ordered pair. So it doesn't matter which ordered pair. This graph is giving you this one right here, 1, 4, and this one, negative 2, negative 3. It really doesn't matter which one you use. I always like to work with positive numbers if I can, but I'll show you the two different equations you could write for this. But the slope is going to be the same. So if we do the slope, if I do rise over run, and again, make sure you check each block is actually 1, so we can just count the blocks. Let's see. Rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're rising 7 and we're running 1, 2, 3. So the slope is 7 over 3. So I'll show you the two different equations you could write. If we use this ordered pair, 1, 4, our equation is going to be y minus our y value, which is 4, equals 7 over 3, x minus our x value, which is 1. So that's one equation. If I use this ordered pair down here, negative 2, negative 3, it's going to be y. Now, our y value is negative 3, so that's going to change to y plus 3 equals 7 over 3. And then x, now my x value is also negative, so minus negative 2 is going to change into plus 2. So either one of those equations is the correct answer. It doesn't matter which one you use. Okay, so it's a little harder if you have to write an equation just from 2 points. We just did that, but the points were on the graph, so it was easy to find the slope using rise over run. But if it says write an equation in point slope form of a line that passes through these 2 points, you have to find the slope first, then use either one of the values. And then this is what's pretty tough about this. If it asks you to write your equation in slope-intercept form at the end, I'll show you how to do that. So first we need to find the slope. So the slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's see, 1 minus 4 over negative 1 minus 1. So our slope is going to be 1 minus 4 is negative 3 over negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. And then a negative divided by a negative would be a positive. So our slope is 3 over 2. Okay, so the example, if we just need to write something in point slope form, you just need to choose one point. So I'm going to choose this one right here, 1, 4. Okay, so our formula is y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So y minus your y value, which is 4, equals m is our slope, so that's 3 over 2, x minus your x value, which is 1. So that's our equation in point slope form. Now, if we want to take that and write it in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So the reason they would ask you to do this is maybe you write it in point-slope form and then they say, what is the y-intercept of that graph? Well, to find the y-intercept of that graph, you have to put it in slope-intercept form. So we take what we have, y minus 4 equals 3 over 2, x minus 1, and we just have to solve it for y. So the first thing you should do if you have parentheses is distribute. Okay, so we still have y minus 4, and then we have 3 over 2 times x, which is 3 over 2x, and then 3 over 2 times negative 1, which is still 3 over 2. Then the only thing left to solve it for y is we just need to add 4 to both sides. Now, you can only add 4 onto a number. 3 over 2x is a variable, so you can't add 4 onto that. You have to add 4 onto the number part of it. So I have y equals 3 over 2x. Now, 3 over 2 is 1.5. So I'm going to take, it's easier for me to do, if I do that, follow along up here. If I take negative 1.5, because 3 over 2 is just 1.5 as a decimal, and I add that onto 4, I have 2.5. Right? Negative 1.5 plus 4 would be 2.5. And then if I want to write 2.5 back as a fraction, 2.5 is 2 1/2. I could write it as 2 1/2 or 5 over 2. But I'm just going to write plus 2 1/2. So the slope is still the same. The slope is still 3 over 2, but the y-intercept for this graph would be 2 1/2. Okay, and one more of those because those are kind of tough. So first write it in point-slope form, then write it in slope-intercept form. So we need to find the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2, negative 6 minus 4 over negative 3 minus 2. Hopefully this time the slope is not a fraction, but we'll see. So negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Good. And then negative 10 divided by negative 5 is 2. So your slope is 2. Okay, so now if you get to choose which ordered pair you want, I'm probably going to pick the one that has positives just because it's easier. So point slope, I'm going to have y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So I have y minus my y value, which is 4, equals m, that's my slope, 2, and then x minus my x value, which is 2. Okay, so this is point slope. And you could use the other one if you wanted to, but you only need to do one of the 2 points. Now to write this in slope-intercept form, we need to solve it for y. So we need to make it look like y equals mx plus b. So we can figure out what our y-intercept is. So first do distributive property here. So we still have y minus 4. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is minus 4. And then to solve this for y, we need to add 4 to both sides. And we have y equals, remember, make sure you add 4 onto the actual number part. 2x, negative 4 plus 4 would just be 0. So this one goes right through the origin. It's a direct variation because it goes through the origin, and the slope is still 2. So slope-intercept form would be y equals 2x. Okay, just try the lesson check on page 318. It's 7 problems, and we'll start with that tomorrow.